You are sitting on the couch after a long, exhausting day. The house is quiet. The television is murmuring in the background. Your dog is curled up beside you. You reach over and begin to gently stroke their fur. Out of nowhere, your dog shifts their weight. They lift a single heavy paw, rest it deliberately on your arm or leg, and just leave it there. There is no scratching, no nudging, no whining, just the sudden, grounding weight of their limb draped heavily over yours. You might think nothing of it, or you might think you know exactly what it means. But in that quiet moment, a cross-species dialogue is occurring that defies everything you've been taught. Most people assume this behavior is a simple demand. They think the dog is selfishly asking for more scratches. Or worse, if you ask a traditional dog trainer from the late 20th century, they will give you a stark warning. They will tell you that the dog is testing your authority. They will say the dog is attempting to dominate you by asserting physical weight. But modern behavioral neuroscience tells a completely different story. The idea that your dog is trying to dominate you is the most pervasive, damaging myth in the history of human-canine interaction. It is known as dominance theory, and it stems from deeply flawed observational studies of captive wolves conducted in the 1930s. Animal behaviorist Rudolf Schenkel observed unrelated adult wolves forced to live together in small artificial enclosures. Under these highly unnatural, stressful conditions, the wolves fought for resources. They established a rigid, violent hierarchy. Researchers mistakenly extrapolated these observations to wild wolves, and then, disastrously, they applied this violent framework directly to your golden retriever. Dr. L. David Mech, one of the world's foremost wolf biologists, spent decades studying wild wolves on Ellesmere Island in Canada. He discovered that wild wolf packs are actually familial units, a mother, a father, and their offspring. There is no violent struggle for dominance. The parents lead naturally. Dr. Mech has spent years officially retracting the alpha wolf theory, begging the training community to abandon it. Domestic dogs are even further removed from this aggressive hierarchy. Through an evolutionary process spanning up to 40,000 years, dogs underwent what scientists call domestication syndrome. Their brains literally rewired. They developed a psychological framework heavily reliant on human cooperation, not competition. Your dog does not view you as a rival for pack leadership. When your dog puts a paw on you, you are looking at it through a primate lens. Human beings are primates. For us, grabbing, holding, or placing weight on another primate is often a display of physical control. Applying this to a dog is an anthrozoological error. The heavy paw is entirely devoid of malice. It is an expression of social cohesion. To truly appreciate the heavy paw, we must understand how differently we experience the physical world. Humans are tactile creatures, but our affection relies on highly evolved, prehensile hands. When we feel love, our instinct is to reach out, grasp, stroke, and hug. Our psychology of love is intrinsically tied to wrapping our limbs around each other. Dogs do not possess prehensile hands. Their evolutionary journey prioritized cursorial adaptation. Their limbs are designed for running, stamina, and terrestrial locomotion. A dog's front limbs are essentially locked into a forward-facing plane. Because of this anatomical limitation, a dog cannot hug you back. They cannot reach out with flexible fingers to stroke your skin. But the evolutionary drive to reciprocate physical affection is incredibly strong. When you pet your dog, you provide a deeply soothing, rhythmic, tactile stimulus. For a highly social mammal, simply receiving this affection passively creates an unbalanced social equation. The dog desires to close the loop. They want to participate in the exchange of love.
Therefore, they utilize the only tools available to them: their muzzle, their body weight, and their paws. By lifting a limb and draping it heavily over your arm, the dog is mimicking the physical connection you are providing. The sheer dead weight of the paw is the canine equivalent of resting a hand over yours. This isn't just a psychological theory. The significance of the heavy paw is profoundly validated when we examine the neurobiology occurring beneath the skin. At the exact center of this interaction is a powerful neuropeptide, oxytocin, often dubbed the cuddle hormone or the love molecule. In a landmark 2015 study published in the prestigious journal Science, researcher Takefumi Kikusui at Azabu University in Japan made a groundbreaking discovery. He found that when humans and dogs engage in gentle petting, both species experience a massive, simultaneous surge in oxytocin. This was the first documented interspecies oxytocin feedback loop. When you stroke your dog, your touch stimulates mechanoreceptors in their skin. These receptors fire signals straight up the spinal cord to the dog's brain, triggering a massive release of oxytocin. This surge subsequently down-regulates the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. As a result, cortisol levels plummet. The dog enters a state of profound emotional safety. And so does your own brain. Here is where the heavy paw comes into play. Oxytocin drives social motivation. As the dog's brain becomes flooded with this bonding hormone, the psychological urge to connect deepens. The dog is not content to merely receive this chemical euphoria. The oxytocin compels them to actively engage the source of the affection. They must touch you back. Placing their heavy paw achieves a vital neurobiological goal. The paw pads of a dog are incredibly sensitive, packed with nerve endings and Pacinian corpuscles. By resting their paw firmly against your skin, the dog drastically increases the surface area of physical contact. This draws more tactile sensory data into their brain, fueling further oxytocin release. It is an addiction to connection. But how did a predatory carnivore, whose paws were originally designed for chasing down prey across the steppes of Eurasia, evolve to use those same paws to gently stroke a human being? The answer lies in our ancient past. It lies in a genetic phenomenon known as domestic hypersociability, and the science here is staggering. Recent genomic studies by researchers like Dr. Bridget von Holt at Princeton University identified specific genetic variations in domestic dogs. These genes are remarkably similar to a human condition called Williams-Buren syndrome. In humans, this genetic deletion results in an intense desire to seek out friendly interactions and a complete absence of social fear. Dogs carry this same trait. Early humans unconsciously selected for wolves that carried these specific genetic mutations. As a result, modern domestic dogs possess a biological imperative to bond with humans that is unparalleled in the animal kingdom. They are genetically engineered to love us. But in wild wolves, pawing is mostly restricted to juvenile behaviors. Wolf pups use their paws to knead their mother's body to stimulate milk flow, a behavior known as milk treading. As wolves mature, these pawing behaviors largely diminish. But in domestic dogs, we see a phenomenon known as neoteny. This is the retention of juvenile traits into adulthood. Dogs look, act, and communicate remarkably like permanent wolf pups. The adult dog's use of the paw to communicate affection is a neotenic holdover from the neonatal nursing stage. When a dog rests a heavy paw on your arm,
They are repurposing an infantile gesture of maternal connection. They are applying it to their interspecies attachment figure. You are their secure base. They are holding on. However, pet psychology requires rigorous contextual analysis. Dogs are masters of nonverbal communication. Not every touch of the paw means the exact same thing. A true behaviorist looks at the entire ethogram, the complete catalog of the animal's body language. To accurately interpret the heavy paw, we must contrast it with others. Consider the demand paw, the more please paw. This occurs when you stop petting them. The paw is used actively to scrape, tap, or pull at your hand. It is rapid and repetitive. The dog's ears are perked forward. They are highly aroused. This is the dog using its paw as a tool to elicit a specific behavioral response from you. They are training you to keep petting. Then there is the play bow paw. This occurs during moments of high kinetic energy. The dog slaps their front paws forcefully onto the ground, or playfully swats at you, jumping back immediately. Their rear end is elevated. The tail is wagging rapidly. The psychological state is highly aroused and seeking a game. And we must be aware of the appeasement, or anxious paw. This occurs when the dog feels threatened or overwhelmed. The paw is lifted tentatively. It barely makes contact. The dog's body is stiff. You might see the whites of their eyes. They are experiencing high cortisol. They are fearful, seeking to de-escalate perceived tension in the environment. By differentiating the true heavy paw from these gestures, we see a stunning paradox. The affectionate heavy paw requires a deep state of relaxation. It uses a cursorial limb, built for sprinting, and asks it to remain perfectly still. It is not asking for a transaction. It is simply existing in a state of shared communion. The existence of this gesture forces us to confront a profound scientific question. Do dogs possess empathy? For decades, the scientific community warned against attributing complex emotions to non-human animals. But advancements in functional magnetic resonance imaging have revolutionized our understanding. Neuroscientist Dr. Gregory Burns at Emory University proved what dog owners already knew. Dr. Burns trained awake, unrestrained dogs to enter fMRI machines. He discovered that the canine brain processes emotional data in ways strikingly similar to the human brain. The caudate nucleus, a brain area rich in dopamine receptors, lights up significantly when dogs are exposed to the scent of their familiar humans, even more so than the scent of other familiar dogs. Dogs exhibit emotional contagion, a primal form of active empathy where one individual catches the emotions of another. When you are stressed, your dog smells the change in your apocrine sweat glands and becomes anxious. Conversely, when you are relaxed and radiating affection, your dog absorbs this emotional state. The heavy paw is their way of mirroring that affection back to you. This concept of reciprocity is vital for a dog's psychological well-being. Dogs that are repeatedly denied the ability to reciprocate affection, dogs subjected to outdated dominance training that forbids them from initiating contact, can develop learned helplessness. Allowing the dog to offer the heavy paw validates their agency. It builds immense psychological resilience and deep trust. Because the heavy paw is a benchmark of profound trust, any sudden change in this behavior requires your immediate attention. What happens if your dog suddenly stops offering the heavy paw? Or what happens if the gesture changes from relaxed wait to a frantic, restless tapping? The answer is critical. It usually indicates a hidden, underlying medical issue. If a normally affectionate dog stops raising their paw or pulls away when you touch their limb,
They are often hiding musculoskeletal pain, osteoarthritis, shoulder dysplasia, or a torn ligament. Dogs are stoic animals. They hide their physical vulnerability. A cessation of the reciprocal petting loop is often the very first sign that they are suffering in silence. Alternatively, if the heavy paw becomes rigid, disoriented, or is accompanied by a blank stare, you may be witnessing the onset of canine cognitive dysfunction, a form of dog dementia. As the canine brain ages, the neural pathways that process social bonding can degrade. The dog wants to connect, but the mechanism is glitching. Never ignore a sudden shift in how your dog chooses to touch you. If your dog is healthy and they offer the heavy paw, how should you respond? The way we react to this cross-species dialogue can either deepen the bond or create momentary confusion. The most appropriate psychological response is simple acceptance. Do not push the paw away. Do not immediately grab their paw and squeeze it. Just remain completely still. To truly engage in the moment and maximize the oxytocin loop, practice synchronized breathing. When the dog rests their paw on you, take a deep, slow breath in. Let it out with a soft sigh. Dogs are incredibly attuned to human respiration rates. By audibly relaxing your own body, you send a powerful signal to their nervous system that the environment is safe. Shift to long, slow, gentle strokes along their back. These mimic maternal grooming. And finally, utilize the power of the soft gaze. In canine communication, a hard stare is a threat. A soft gaze, relaxed eyes, blinking slowly, is an expression of deep trust. If your dog looks up at you while their paw is on your arm, blink slowly. They will feel the shift. This interaction is so powerful that human medicine has begun to formally utilize it. The heavy paw is the natural, unprompted version of deep pressure therapy. Animal-assisted therapy uses this exact mechanism for psychiatric patients, trauma survivors, and individuals with autism. Therapy dogs are trained to place their bodily weight on a person in distress. When a human experiences severe stress, their sympathetic nervous system is screaming fight or flight. Cortisol floods the blood. When a dog rests a heavy, warm paw onto that person, the sudden tactile pressure acts as a somatic grounding mechanism. It stimulates the vagus nerve in the human. It acts as a physiological brake pedal, rapidly slowing the heart rate and initiating the parasympathetic response. Therefore, when your dog offers you the heavy paw at the end of a terrible day, they are unknowingly providing you with a highly sophisticated biological intervention. They are physically grounding you. They are chemically altering your brain state. They are offering unconditional social support without the complexities of verbal communication. In the modern era, we are constantly bombarded with conflicting theories on how our dogs view us. It is easy to overanalyze their behavior through the cynical lens of power dynamics. The myth of dominance robbed decades of dog owners from experiencing the true depth of the bond. It told us to view a gesture of profound love as a threat. It told us to show the dog who is boss. But science has illuminated the incredible evolutionary journey that brought the wolf from the cold wilderness to our living room couches. The heavy paw is a masterpiece of evolutionary biology. It is a dog navigating a human world without human hands. It is the physical manifestation of a brain flooded with oxytocin, seeking to give back the comfort it has been given. So the next time you feel the grounding weight of their paw, do not push it away. Do not worry about your status as the alpha. Recognize the gesture for the biological miracle that it is. Your dog is reaching across the species barrier, using the only tools evolutionary history gave them
to tell you that they feel safe, and they are holding your hand right back. To receive that weight is a privilege built over 40,000 years of evolution. Does your dog offer the heavy paw, or do they have their own unique way of petting you back? Let me know in the comments below. And if you thought the heavy paw was fascinating, subscribe and hit the bell, because in our next video, we are breaking down why your dogs sighs right before they fall asleep. And the science behind it is even stranger than you'd expect.